What's going on, everybody? It's your man EGlaze, and I am here on another edition of the EGlaze Chronicles for this Tuesday, June 23rd of 2020. And I have a great show for you guys today. My man will be on with me in a minute. Let me set up everything, make sure he coming on and get it all together. But we got a great one. Mack, good friend of the show, known him for a little while now. One of the OGs. We can call him the OGs now. I think he's an OG. Can we call him an OG? I think we can call him an OG. Been doing this media thing for a while, so he's one of my favorite people to bring on. And like I said, I hope the show still be going on after he's finished, because Mack be J Mack. So without further ado, let me bring my man on, Mr. Mack. Hey, what's going on, sir?
What's going on, EGlaze?
Hey, man. I just hope the show, we still be on after we finish, man. So let's just try to be cordial and do what we can. I see you got the fro going. You got it nice and going there, man. I like that, bro.
I've been growing it since I was 12, and this is as tall as it's gotten.
Can't do no braids with it, man. Can't do that with it.
Hey, this is it, bro. This is it. I've been trying, but, I don't have that long hair gene. I just, just
I agree with you. I'll be sitting there sometime like, yo, this is about it, y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut it down so we can just keep it going. But hey, man, glad to have you on, brother. A lot going on. Let me start with this with you, Jay. Let me start with this with you, Jay. What in the entire heck is going on with the Mack and swag? I know you Morgan State grad. You know what's, but what in the entire heck is going on up there, bro?
Man, let me tell you something. It's been a lot of anguish from a lot of the alumni in the schools of the Mack. They have just not seen eye to eye with what the Commissioner Thomas has been doing or not doing over the years. A good friend of mine, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, did a study probably about 10 years or so, maybe even more, where he looked at the Mack as a conference and what sense did it make in terms of the travel with Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman. It was just so expensive for those schools to make those trips. Now, Hampton, we kind of know what's going on with Hampton. They, water's ice is colder. I don't know, but they have been, ever since they got out of the CIAA and made the jump to the Mack. Now they're looking, they made another jump. Quite frankly, they haven't dominated since they left. Since that 1 year they had in the Mack, and once all those guys went to the pros, they have returned to mediocrity. Yeah. So. But moreover, I think it has more to do with Commissioner Thomas's inability to raise funds, to bring attention to the Mack, and Baltimore not. That's where it's coming from. Now, I have my own vision about it, but nobody wants to hear from me because I think the Mack, the SWAC, the SIAA, the SIAC, the CIAA, all of them should just say adios to the NCAA. There's no real reason that our schools should stay, especially football. We generate more. We generate attendance like nobody's business. Okay, and it's always going to be that way. We love our schools. We love our football. We love our bands. So it's a whole thing, and I've written about it, on multiple occasions, that the Mack is missing out on playing some of the CIAA schools. Mm-hmm. Now Morgan has played Bowie once, maybe twice in 10 or 15 years, something crazy like that. It's a natural rivalry with them being right down the road. Howard is another 15 minutes from Bowie. Yeah. So why are we not playing each other? If we leave the NC2A, we can do that. We can take advantage of those matchups. The Virginia State, Virginia Union, they're right there where we can play them. I mean, Virginia State is what, 2.5 hours from Baltimore?
Right.
Maybe 3 hours from Delaware State.
Right.
Let's get it cracking, man. We look, we can control our destiny with our money. And leaving the NCAA, we know how the NCAA works. They penalize us and then give a slap on the wrist to the Dukes and North Carolinas, the Power Fives.
Exactly.
So we get rid of them. We can educate our own kids.
Yep.
Yes, they may not meet the SAT. Heck, I barely met the SAT. And I have a master's degree from University of Virginia. So what are they saying?
Yeah.
The SAT doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay? I would have never gotten in the UVA as an undergrad student, but I got in it as a graduate student. So what does it matter? Let's educate our kids. Let them play the sport that they want to play, and let's move on from the NC2A. All they trying to do is control it. That's all.
That's one thing I immediately brought up when they were talking about the whole, the football game at the end of the year, the Celebration Bowl. My next question was why we don't have another bowl or something for the CIAA and SIAC, bring them together. Because I do agree with you. I would love to see more regional football played instead of us having to travel so far. FAMU Southern are closer than FAMU, South Carolina State, Delaware State. So why aren't we having those regional games? Can you imagine a FAMU Southern, FAMU Grambling? And I mean, just those type of games would make more sense. But are we our own worst enemy sometimes because we trying to see the shiny things instead of us just putting great football product out there?
I think that's the case. And we need to take advantage of what's going on right now. And you see some of the kids who have decided to leave Liberty, to decided that they don't want to go to some of these Power 5 schools because their politics and their belief system doesn't match up with who they are and who their community is. So we need to do that. We need to take advantage of all that. Heck, FAMU is now in the SWAC, so they will be taking advantage of that Southern matchup. They will be taking advantage of that Alabama State matchup, which was historical.
Right.
They're so close together. My gosh, it makes sense to play each other.
Right around the corner. Right around the corner.
Can you imagine what our schools could do if we weren't mandated to have 85 scholarships? Remember, that's a mandate.
Right.
You have to have 85 scholarships to be a D1 school. If we weren't mandated to have those scholarships or mandated to only have 22 in order to be, or was it 24, 25 to be a D2 school? And just look, let's get in where we fit in and play each other.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. I think we got to give them an opportunity to play against people in their region. And if costs are so much, and that's what always frustrates me a little bit because we always talk about cost and what we can't afford and what we can't do. I do remember in Morris Brown, we drove a bus everywhere back in my day. So we went all the way to Cheney State one time on a bus. That was in Philadelphia. Arkansas, we went on a bus. And if we're having these problems now, we have to be able to, I kind of like what you said. We should be able to behave for those kids who don't feel comfortable at other schools, to feel comfortable they can go and play at these HBCUs and have a chance to play quality football and quality things of that nature. Where are we with the pandemic? And which brings me that what do you see HBCUs? How do we come out on the other side of this?
Well, definitely, finance is going to be an issue. And I think that's pretty much, nationwide with every institution. They're looking at what the costs are going to be, what they're losing. And some have already decided to cancel homecoming. Some schools have already decided to cancel certain sports. Hampton has said that they need $3.8 million to keep some of the sports alive. And they gave a breakdown of what they needed and for what sports and to keep it functional and viable for the student athletes. I think as a nation, this year should just be about getting healthy. I don't even know if we should even be concerned with participating in collegiate athletics this year. And trust me, my son is going to college to play collegiate athletics. And, I would rather them say, you know what, let's give everybody a pass on this year. And let's go towards next year. Yeah. If you want to come out and test your professional market, that's fine. But I don't think it's going to be a professional market this year. They can
Right.
keep saying it, but every time they talk about it, somebody else turns up positive. And if you think for some reason that kids are not going to contract this illness, that's another thing. And then we've seen that, or scientists have said that some of these people who have gotten sick, they are losing lung capacity. What does that do to a top tier athlete?
Right.
Do you think any of those schools are going to say, "Hey, well, you can stay here
Yeah.
and graduate"? I don't think so. They're going to say it was nice having you, but we got to bring this kid in
Right.
because you had 4 years of eligibility left, and we really can't afford to keep you if you're not playing ball. If you had 1 year, maybe, but not 4 years. So
Yeah.
I think this year should be a wash. And just let's get healthy as a nation.
And you know what? And what people don't realize, and I want everybody to realize this, that the young people may not, but a lot of us coaches are older coaches. So the young kids get them to the coaches. Guess what's going to happen? These 40 and 50-year-old coaches, that big coach that you always laugh, that big offensive line coach might get a little sick, and he might get a little bit worse for this. So if you're seeing the players are getting it, you know it's going to eventually come. Coach is going to be in your face. They're going to get it as well. So what are we going to be doing about that? I do like that
How old
concept.
is Saban?
Who?
How old is Saban?
He's got to
How
be
many
close to
how many coaches do we have over the age of 60 in
right.
the collegiate athletic ranks?
Right. Once they get it, and when they hit that age of 60 plus, that's a danger zone. That has been highly said as a danger zone. So everybody think it's all good till one of them coaches that y'all love so much catch it. And a lot of coaches are 50 plus. It'll be different at that point. So it should be interesting. I love that getting healthy part, though. That's the thing I think people are so, but Jay, we all know, man, let's be real. You know, you've been around it longer than me. You're a mentor to us. That cash is still in the background and the cha-chinging and all that. And I talked to our girl, Yakiri, at Chicks in the Sports today, and I was talking one sport that everybody's trying to get out there, hook or crook, and it's that pigskin, football.
Yes, sir.
And it looks like I'm seeing, even in high school in Georgia, we seeing schools having kids with COVID-19 positive tests, and they still trying to find ways to play there. I hate to say it, Jay, but I think they're going to squeeze football out, and they're going to make it could get worse before it gets better, man. Your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I do think it's going to get worse. I don't think they care anything about the student athletes. That money aspect has always been the driving force behind everything. They overlook CTE because of money.
Right.
You really think they're not going to overlook a respiratory disease because of money?
Yeah.
They don't care about anybody. It's about the commerce. That's why they pay the big bucks. What they say, Alabama made what Saban meant to Alabama because of all the titles that he won. And I'm sure the same thing with Dabo Swinney and some of these others, that those bowl wins, those BCS or whatever they want to call it now, wins generated over $100 million for the university and a sizable amount for the conferences, and that means paychecks and everything. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that most people are overlooking. The lion's share of that money isn't going to people that look like you and me.
Right.
It's not going to those communities where those star athletes are coming from. Right. That money is going to pay for yachts. That money is going to pay for those $1 million homes. That money is not going to be seen by the people who need it the most, the ones who least can afford to get sick.
Right.
Because that kid who just ran that football back or just caught that touchdown or whatever, his mom is still working that job where she is an essential employee because she's 9 to 5. She's not salaried.
Right.
So what about those? What about those? And we already know how our community has been affected. So what about us? That's what we've been saying this whole time. What about us? Do you care at all?
Yeah.
I wonder. I got in this business to tell stories.
Right.
The stories that nobody wants to tell because it's not from their community.
Right.
Now they'll tell a story that's it's not too harsh, and they'll skirt some of the really rough parts of it because it's not palatable. But we have some students and we have some athletes that come from some backgrounds. They can't go home because it's so rough. They want to keep them on campus because they know if they go home, what could happen and what's
Yeah.
likely to happen. But instead of investing in that community, what do?
And I think people don't.
Why don't you invest in that and make it better?
I don't think people. You have just brought up something. And shout out to Sam Crenshaw that he's at Real Talk this evening. It is Real Talk because we are going home. These kids go home. Yeah, the school might be able to take care of them insurance wise, but they ain't gonna take care of big mama, daddy who's working 10, 12 hours. Yeah, it's good to have him play on Friday night, but what are you bringing home to me? And if a kid is healthy, he can run up and down the field and he catches it, he might get over it quick. But me, who might have hypertension, diabetes, high blood pressure, all of this stuff, may not be able to get over it as quick. And now I'm having to worry about what's going on in my home, or can I bring my kid in? It's that slippery slope that a lot of people don't realize, Jay. And I think that's why it is so important that our media make sure we put stories like that out there. And I think that's why I wanted to bring you on so we can talk about stuff like this. So I heard, like you were talking about, Tuscaloosa mayor just said that if Alabama doesn't play football this year, you go back to the money league, the money tree, the money will talk. The Tuscaloosa will go bankrupt or would lose a ton of money. I mean, at the end of the day, this is one of the few times that athletes have leverage on every level. High school, college, and the pros. What do you think, or what do you would say to some of these athletes if they're out there thinking about should they play or not? Because a lot of athletes think that, especially our young athletes, our African-American athletes think, man, this is my way out. I got to go to school. I'm trying to pay for school. This is what I want. What are your thoughts with this leverage that they have right now?
I think they should look at what guys in the professional ranks like Trevor Ariza have done. They have opted out. Yeah. They've said, you know what? I'm better if I'm healthy. I can't do my family any good if I'm sick or dead. Because at the end of the day, your health is your wealth. Mm-hmm. That contract don't mean nothing if you ain't around to get it. Mm-hmm. None of that matters. None of it. I don't care. Look, we understand. But if our economy wasn't predicated on the model that we have to have so much of so much money, then we wouldn't be in this situation. But everything's got to be high. I got to have the biggest house. I got to have the flyest car. And that's not just in our communities. That's everywhere.
Right.
When you're in some of these big towns, that's why the Saks, Goldman, and all those companies, that's why we jumping out of windows when things go wrong, because they need to have X, Y, Z in order to maintain a lifestyle that's so far above the average man. Mm. Why is that important?
Right.
If you can eat and you can walk to the store and have a good conversation, what's the other stuff? What does any of that other stuff matter? Right. And these athletes now, they need to think about what is the most important thing in their lives. And right now, it's not the shine. It's their health and the health of their families. And because we've been, sitting at home, a lot of people have been sitting at home, they had some time to think about what it is really important. Because I don't know about other people, but I've enjoyed my time at home.
Yeah.
I've had my kids with me. We eat dinner together. We talk. We watch movies together, and that's a great thing. And even if all we could do was sit on a porch like they did back in the day because they didn't have TV or anything like that, guess what? I'm fine with that.
Right.
And you got to be fine where you are. As long as we got our health, we got a chance.
We got a chance. And I think that's the one thing. And going back to what you told me earlier, being the parent of a collegiate athlete, what are your feelings about him going into next year? What are you talking about? What are you talking with him about? And what is some of the discussions y'all are having?
Well, his sport doesn't kick off till spring, but they
Till
have,
spring.
yeah, but they're getting things together now, and we're getting the housing information, and everything. I'm concerned, but I'm not as concerned as if he was playing football or fall sport. But I am still concerned because
Right.
I don't see where anyone's taking the responsibility to keep or to lower these numbers that we're seeing. These numbers are crazy, man. And anytime somebody can tell you 200,000 deaths is all right, it's no big deal. If they start throwing percentages out there, yeah, it's 1%, unless that 1% is your family.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm talking to him about it. And he's been working out every day. He just came in fact, he, fortunately, I had put that weight room in there. So, years ago, so he can work out, he can lift, he can go out in the back, and he can. I bought him a couple of things for training, and so he can hit the bounce back, and he can get better. And he's gotten, he's changed his body a lot. So he's getting to the point where he's really chomping at the bit. But I'm cautioning him, like, you know, this is real. This is not for play. This is something that could really affect you long term.
Yeah.
So, we're cautious right now, and we're kind of in a wait and see mode. But you know, if it was to if he was supposed to start playing this fall, I don't know. I
It's
He'll
tough,
be
man.
18.
Yeah.
It's a tough decision. But
Yeah.
I would have to leave it up to him. But you know, it is a tough decision, and it's not a decision that people can come by easily. But we should know a lot more by July, um,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
these numbers are going.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
So let's
I'm
talk about the other.
hopeful.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump into the other thing. We talked about the pandemic, the culture, the nature of the culture of the nation now. We are both parents of college age students and high schoolers. We see where the country is going. We saw the unrest and things of that nature. So we have seen, not to tell our age, we've seen decades of things in our
Yeah, yeah.
lifetime. And how do you look at today's time? How have you seen this? I mean, we've been through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and now as parents of African American children or Black children, we are having to see this in a different light. And we've seen these young people, what they're going on 29 days of marching and wanting to do things. What is your take on this, and how are you looking at this from not only as a Black man, but as a Black father as well?
Um, I can't say that I didn't see this coming,
Hmm.
because it's been creeping this way for a long time, and it still goes back to that greed. Um, look at look at what happened to when the O'Bannon sued to get money for his likeness. For his likeness, there's so much greed, and it's the racism part of it is one of the components they use to keep the poor fighting, so that we don't see all the money that's being looted from our pockets. So I've seen it for a long time. I've seen it, and when I was in school, we protested living conditions while the University of Maryland was getting millions. Then they would give Towson and UMBC money, but Morgan wasn't getting anything. And we were
Right.
older than both UMBC and Towson, but we weren't getting any money. So yeah, it's been coming. And we've had pockets of racial incidences all over the place. Rodney King, that was one that's, oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
so it's been coming and coming, and at a point people just say, you know what? And with the social media driving it, and say,
Right.
"Oh, to hell with this," because we know that left to its own devices, they are not going to make any changes.
Mm.
They Trayvon Martin,
Yeah.
Zimmerman should have been in jail, probably already gone with a lethal injection. If they'd have just take care of that, maybe Mike in St. Louis or the Eric Garner or any of those other, maybe the police would have thought, maybe we won't do this. But because the justice system is unwilling to do the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
they set about this path for for not just African Americans, but for other people around the world, because this is a worldwide thing. People are seeing the US for who they really are. And they really need to say, our commercial is not working anymore. So let's finally look at what really needs to be done in this country, and that is to treat our people, all people, in the best manner. Native Americans, come on, African Americans. There has not been a people who has not been oppressed in this country, but more so the black man and black woman from chattel slavery to now. You still are trying to say that we haven't earned our spot here?
Right.
Yeah, I think people are just fed up. And
Yeah.
and we're not going away. You know, I'll pay some bails. Shoot, I don't have much, but I'll pay some bails, because it's so very necessary, and no one wants to admit that they've screwed up.
Yeah.
America has screwed up.
And I think, like you said, the mirror is shining pretty bright, and it's hard to look in the mirror sometimes when stuff like this goes down. I can say this as what are you telling your son and your family about this, the young ones, about what they should be doing? I think it's I talk to mine. I want them to be able to enjoy, like you said, the opportunities that are here. But you also got to realize that sometimes the opportunities won't be given to you because of certain things as well. What are some of the conversations you're having?
Well, the conversation we're having is more so we're monitoring the situations. We're looking at everything, and my kids I've never hid any of this from them. From very young, I've explained to them some of the challenges that I've had, some of the challenges my dad had, some of the challenges that other people have had, and so it's they're seeing it firsthand, but
Right.
they're not surprised by it.
Right.
So they're students of history, um, and so they're not special. The conversation we're having is just, you know, what are the strategies that we can employ or we can share that can make sure that we get what we're after,
Right.
and justice and fairness and equality and the eradication of racism shouldn't be a hard thing to do.
Shouldn't be. You're right.
That's an easy lift. It really is an easy lift. But come on, people are holding on to it like it's gold. It's not.
Right.
It's full.
Exactly.
You love us for everything. You love us for everything, but you hate us at the same time.
Yep.
Why?
Yep.
Because of this?
Yeah. The melanin sometimes
And
is some
melanin is
reason.
because of melanin.
Yeah.
And they've taken the message of racism all around the world. They've taken it. India has a caste system. That's nothing but racism.
Right.
China, if you're too dark, they don't want to put you on TV, huh? Brazil, which has over 63 million people of African descent, if you're dark, you wouldn't even know, because if you watch Brazilian TV, you wouldn't see any or see very few. So this has been taken all around the world by racist individuals for no other reason than to think that they are superior, or that they're living their best life, and some of them are living in hell. No matter what they have in terms of material possessions, lifestyle wise, your life wise, nah, B, you ain't living well. You know it, because you can't live well when you got hate in your heart. You can't.
Right. All right.
You can't.
Let me ask you this, Jay. With this going on, and we've seen with the pandemic, and we've seen with the current racial tensions, I'm gonna put it back to where we started with. What should be our HBCUs be doing at this time, in your opinion, to prepare us to be a part of? We're seeing our young people out there, like you said, the kids from Liberty. Should we be doing more? Should we be hearing more? I know they're kind of at that point where they're trying to figure out what they're going to do, but I think sometimes it's just good to have our voices in this point, in this fight, in this part, whatever's going on, being there for us and being there for these young people.
Well, I think a lot of the presidents at our institutions and our universities are doing a fantastic job in helping to guide the student population. Uh, the things that I've heard from not just our president, Dr. David Wilson, but things I've heard from North Carolina A&T, from FAMU, their leadership, uh, they're doing a great. And even the smaller, even some of the smaller schools that with the smaller populations. But right now, we should be strategizing on how to stay afloat
Hmm.
during this time. We've seen the challenges some of the schools, some of the smaller schools like Fisk have had over the years, Talladega has had over the years, and they've overcome some of those challenges. But Bethune-Cookman right now is in financial
Right,
straits caused by some greedy individuals, um, and it's ridiculous.
right,
So right now we need our alumni of all our institutions, and there's some initiatives going to help. And Morgan has a fund that they raise money for students who are hit hardest by this pandemic. So a lot of schools are doing that, but the alumni are plugging in. So I think what we're facing is how is making sure that our schools are financially strong coming out of this.
right,
Forget everything else.
right.
Financially strong, and everybody is on point, ready to run when things are better.
Yep.
Because it doesn't matter if we're not around. If our schools are not around, we are in trouble
We're in
as a
trouble.
as a as a nation. Because we already seen the other half of that.
Yep.
They don't want us.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you. So let's go into the world of sports, which you've been covering. How long now? You going what? I won't put your age out there. You've been covering sports for a few decades now.
yeah,
I see you putting
20 years, 20
your little post
uh
and your Super Bowl post and all that. You got to keep bragging like that, bro. How many years you been doing this thing, man?
20 years in Atlanta. I started it kind of like happenstance before I got here. Um, but I always loved photography, so it kind of worked out with that. Um, and I used to cover. I used to go to the football games and basketball games down in Texas, at Ozan Central and Westbrook, and you know those games are great. So I just wanted to make sure that the kids had an opportunity to have their stories told. So when I got to Atlanta, I met up with a couple of guys, Larry Williams over in DeKalb, who
Mm-hmm.
was running Four Shot Sports,
Right,
and I was coaching and teaching over at Theron. And they had a good model, and the kids loved it. And I said, well, this is a great opportunity to really help kids get into college,
mm-hmm.
get some pub behind their name if they're not getting it already, because we know how it goes.
Right,
If at that point the AJC, for all their worth or whatever, they weren't coming into our neighborhoods. They really weren't. They weren't looking at the second tier guys who were going to Fort Valley. They weren't looking at the guys who were perfectly slotted to go to NAIA, Division III, or even some of the mid majors. They
right,
weren't looking at, if you weren't one of the top 50 players, you didn't get any shine. And if you
right,
weren't at certain schools like Parkview and Brookwood and this, that, and you didn't get any shine. So Forsyth helped cast a big light on North Clayton, Forest Park,
Right.
West Side Macon.
Right.
We went everywhere. Douglas County. I've been all around the state covering high school football.
Hmm.
And let me tell you, I've been to some communities that were so warm and so accommodating. I love going there. I love going to those small towns.
Yeah.
And when Lincoln County came to the Dome, they brought the whole city.
The whole city. I
When
was up in there
Hawkinsville
too.
came to the
Yeah.
Dome, they brought the whole town.
Whole
I
town,
love
man.
that kind of stuff, man.
Right.
Metter, little
Right.
tiny Metter, man,
Right.
they brought everybody.
Everybody you can
So
get.
I love that aspect.
Right.
I loved it. I love it. And so, that aspect, and we saw how much it mattered to them when we showed up. And
Right.
kids were like, "Oh, y'all here? Oh my gosh, y'all here for a shot." I remember one of the AJC photographers told me that a kid ran up to him and said, "Are y'all for a shot?" And he said, "No, we're the AJC." And he was like, "Oh, have you seen Forsyth?" So, my man Larry, he did a great job with that. And, I branched out on my own because I wanted to do more in terms of following the athletes
Mhm.
into the collegiate and into the professional ranks because we had so many who were
Right.
going. We had Atlanta had so many kids that were going, pro right out of college in basketball.
Yep.
Dwight and Josh and all those guys and
Yep.
Lou Williams, and there was so many that were going pro and playing big time college basketball as well. So I wanted to continue that. I wanted to follow them and see how their story changed and how it really how they blossomed as young men and young women. Maya Moore, oh my gosh, I remember when she was dunking in the gym with a tennis ball when she
Yeah.
was 14, right? And
Right.
now she is such a dynamic force, not just as an athlete with the WNBA, but also as a voice for
Right.
this generation.
Right.
She just said, WNBA, look, pause. This is more important.
Right.
And man, that sister is so, woo.
Beautiful, man.
You
It's a
just
beautiful
have,
thing.
man.
Beautiful
And there's
thing.
so many that she's touching, and other people are saying, you know what? You're right.
You're right. She's making a
You are
difference.
right.
She's making a difference. In,
Yeah.
in your 20 years, what's been the thing that you noticed the biggest growth or the biggest thing over the 20 years you've seen outside in not only Atlanta area and sports in general that you've been able to cover? What's some of the biggest things you've seen that you've noticed when it comes to the sports thing?
Well, there's a biggest thing I noticed that's great, and there's a biggest thing I noticed that's flawed, tremendously flawed. So
Right.
I'm gonna do the flawed first.
Give me the flaw first.
Flawed first. Let's start being honest and stop lying about and what we talked about earlier, the money.
Yeah.
These kids, these young people are making these schools an ungodly amount of money, and they're not getting any of it.
Yeah.
The schools need to take that money that they're making, and for every community that they get a recruit from, pour money into it.
Mm.
So if you're not going to pay the kids, let's make this communities better. Let's get it. Let's make it worth their while.
Right.
So that when they go home, they're not stepping over glass. They now have to worry about some of those same issues. Track and field. Let's stop penalizing our track and field athletes who have to work 2 and 3 jobs, to get ready for the Olympics, where once they get there, they're not even told the truth. I know because I talked to them. When they went to Russia, they had to sign non-disclosure agreements so they wouldn't talk about the conditions there. the green water.
Right.
Huh? China, the pollution that was there, but they couldn't talk about it. Huh? Then the CEO of USA Track and Field collecting all this money, but the athletes are getting peanuts.
Right.
Now you have to have a contract with Nike or so or somebody in order to get your money. But what about the other athletes? You want the best, but you don't want to give them the resources to be the best.
Right.
Major League Baseball, thumbs down on them because they have essentially said, we don't need you black people. We're not going to scout you. We're going to make sure that our league is just us and a few of the Dominicans and others that we can find to come in and play. But essentially, this is a white man's league, white man's sport. We're going to hold it down. And that's ridiculous because we know we can play. Where's the next Henry Aaron coming from? Where's the next Josh Gibson? What about the next Satchel Paige? They out there, but they're not getting recruited. There's no love for the black man in baseball. The great things that I'm seeing, the awakening. LeBron and those guys, Kyrie, they're waking up and they're saying we have the leverage. They're hearkening back to the days with Bill Russell and Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali. We're all saying, hey, we're not going to do this. This is not who we are. We are your sport. Right. And if we're going to be your sport, you're going to listen to us.
Right.
So I like that. I like that they're using their platform to be aware and to let people know that they're not some dumb jock.
Right.
That they not only they're not a dumb jock, but they're astute business people. Derek Jeter, LeBron. It's more than that. They're making moves, real good moves.
Right.
And that's a positive thing because I think other athletes are seeing it and they're saying, you know what, we could be doing that too.
Right.
Matt Barnes. I know they wanted to write Matt off real quick, but his show that they have, that podcast, it's tight.
Right.
It's tight. It's better than anything ESPN got. What?
Yep.
They're 30 for 30 on touch what they're doing every night. And it's not just them. It's a few brothers and sisters that are doing some great stuff. And in that regard, they're not just becoming cannon fodder. Calvin Johnson followed Barry Sanders' league. It's something about Detroit, the Lions organization.
Right.
Both of those guys said, you know what? Deuces. We good.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of here while I can still walk and I can still talk. So athletes are waking up and they're taking and making a decision that's best for them.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing. Yeah.
What are you most proud of over your 20 years that you've done?
I don't know. I'm proud of a lot of things. I think I'm most proud that I've been able to reach some young people and help them along the way in some manner, shape, or form. I've helped some people realize some dreams, some professional aspirations, some athletic aspirations. I was able to, I'm not a large organization. I'm not a large media outlet, but we've been able to do a lot of the major events, and we do every event the same. We took as much care with the women's NCAA Final Four soccer as we did with the NFL Super Bowl. We covered the whole weekend. We made sure, and that we put them on the cover of the magazine.
Right.
I'm just happy that I'm proud of the fact that we've been able to be around this long.
Yeah.
I just hoping a prayer and just some elbow grease and working as hard and leaning on others and listening and just trying to do the best I could with the resources. I mean, I had the first magazine I wrote the actual computer code to make it turn pages.
Wow.
So I've learned a lot.
Wow.
I think I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the books that I've been able to produce as of late. Um, if you're an HBCU football fan, you got to get that. And another one you got to get is this halftime. Got the bands from all over. So a lot of what I'm proud of are contained in those pages because I was able to cover HBCU football, and I've always loved HBCU football ever since I was a kid. And one of my neighbor's sons up the street used to play football for Morgan, and Ronnie was a fullback on Morgan's football team. And man, you should have seen us kids when he would come home and he had his helmet in his hand, man. You couldn't tell us nothing. That was like playing pro ball when you played at Morgan, because my parents used to go to the Grambling Morgan game in New York, and that's all we heard. Yeah, yeah, we had to be home. We couldn't go, but
Right.
we wanted to be there so bad. So I'm just proud that I'm able to help people realize some of their aspirations. Um, and realize some of their goals that they've set or that they've always wanted to do. A good friend of mine passed away a few years ago, and he was always he worked in Hollywood doing lights and stuff, sound and all that other stuff, but he always wanted to do a Rams game. Uh, and so when the Falcons went to play the Rams, uh, I brought him with me.
I saw that. Yep.
And unbeknownst to me, he was battling cancer, and he died 2 months after that game.
Wow. Wow.
So and I didn't know the importance of that until one of his friends contacted me and told me and thanked me for doing that, because it was such one of his bucket list things, and I was just able to make that come true for him. So those kind of things, Olympic trials, all the things that I've always wanted to do, and other people have wanted to do and see and experience for themselves. I've been fortunate enough to be able to play a role in helping them do that.
I think that's important, man, and I appreciate what you've done for us. And I think that's one of the great feelings. And when people ask me, I always say, being able to send people to cover a game or to be able to help the young people out and do things, I think that is so important for us. But going forward, man, I still think we have to. I want to see a bigger presence of us. I mean, I know we have all these organizations and all of this with the Black media and things of that nature, but I would love to see us more, like when they go to a game and cover things and do things like that. I think one of the biggest things that's going to be important on the other side of this pandemic and the other side of what's going on now is how we cover it and how our voices are portrayed in the media.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you would like for us to do, to like to see going forward in the media, so that the 20 years you put in, the 6 years I put in, that we can continue to build and grow and get our young people out there and doing things? I know social media has changed things a lot, but still press boxes don't look, they aren't that, they still kind of spotty. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
getting these credentials are spotty. What are your thoughts?
One thing,
Get that.
let me tell you right off the bat, because I've been chomping at the bit on this one. We here in Atlanta, we have the benefit of being able to connect with a lot of people, but we really need to formalize our approach and our strategy, because once upon a time, when back in the 50s and 60s, when integration was a lofty goal, uh, the papers were successful in covering what is important to our communities.
Right.
After integration, we fell off. We fell off big time by now. So you can't. It's so difficult to even find a Black newspaper. So all of our online presence, media outlets, and magazines and so forth. We have the talent, we have the hustle. What we need to do is get together and make sure that we can approach and qualify our presence.
Right.
So many people are afraid to say anything because they're hoping we can get in.
Yeah.
No, we need to kick the door in. Now's the time. We need to call the I think the VP of communications for NFL is a sister.
Yeah.
Is a black woman. And now's the time we need to be making our presence known that, hey, stop ignoring us. Stop putting us to the back. Now, you know good and well, I've said it, and I've been very vocal ever since that time when I was the NFL or the Falcons, whoever, tried to give me the runaround on the NFL NFC Championship game, talking about, well, your season credentials no good for this game, and oh, this, that, and the other, and well, the team said this, and then the team said no, the league this, and I had no problem firing off a letter to the NFL office. We have got to stop begging and start demanding. Those kids on that field, those young men, those men on those fields, those people are from our communities, and our community deserves the right to hear what they're talking about and what they want to talk about, not being called or labeled a thug, not being having their words taken out of context. And the athletes are sometimes feel, can I trust this person? Can I trust this outlet?
Right.
So they just need to know us, get to know us, and the league needs to sign off on this now from the top down. And these are the things that you need to be able to show. And here's how. And I'm willing to help other outlets develop that game plan to benefit from my years of experience, and say, okay, this is how you cover, and this is what we need. And schools like Georgia Tech, they haven't been all that kind and friendly, and UGA is worse.
Yeah.
Look around the sideline on UGA, but look on the daggone field.
Right.
They don't want us connected with our players because they're afraid of something. I don't know what, but look, some of my photos have appeared in UGA's media guides.
Right.
But they won't give me a credential for the football team? Are you kidding me?
Right.
You know I'm valid.
Right.
But we ran out of space. That's bullshit.
Yep.
You got people on the sideline with camera phones.
Yep.
Shoots.
I've seen some of the people they've let in. I'm like, is that even what is that? You know what I'm saying? And I totally agree with you, man. It is bullshit. And they keep trying to do that in the fights that we keep trying to do. And sometimes even with the hometown team, and I've said it, I've had problems with the Falcons. It's are you serious? Some of the people that you let in cover the games who aren't even trying to cover the sport, they just got a seat because it's cool and you doing something. And I just think it's bull. And like you said, it's we have to come together and, like you say, strategize and do it better and demand. We've been too busy. Can we please cover this game? We have to be able to cover. And our people, and going through red tape to interview somebody, you'd be like, look, man, I'm going to tell your story. I'm not going to tell the story that they want. I'm not doing Got You Sports. I'm too old for Got You Sports.
Got You Sports don't work anyway.
Right.
That's garbage. That's a one step over a gossip rag.
Yeah, exactly.
That's over the Inquirer or something. Look, we want to tell the story. Yeah. I don't care. Look, I'm not going to be here from 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening, not spending time with my family just because I'm some kind of groupie. Are you crazy? I'm a grown man.
Got kids, man.
I got kids. I'm doing this because I really feel if we don't document our stories, then the narrative will be that guy, because he's wearing braids, is a thug.
Yeah.
Remember Iverson? Everybody was this. They still hate Barry Bonds, but they forget how they treated his daddy.
Oh, Mr. Bobby.
So when the Braves told me back in 2005, why do you want to cover base? Why do you want to cover the Braves? We don't have any African Americans on our team.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
So guess what? Y'all need to hear us. And I'm sorry, but no, I'm not sorry. The NNPA hasn't done their job. They are asleep at the wheel.
Whew.
They haven't done anything for the last 25 years.
Boy, you just said that. Dad.
And I've sent emails to them repeatedly over the years, and they have refused to even talk with me. I talked to the guy, I'm trying to remember the name, who ran the LA Sentinel. He gave me a whole bunch of lip service at the Trumpet Awards and nothing else. I'm like, dude, I know what you're moving. That's what I do. I benchmark. I know you're not moving papers. I know half the papers are getting thrown in the trash. I know they paying you not to be a newspaper.
Right.
So the NNPA doesn't do it for us anymore. And NABJ has been co-opted by the major media outlets, so they ain't working for us neither. When they started laying off all the black journalists, when Jamil and all them got fired, they couldn't do anything. They are powerless because you can't hire anybody. When you can't hire anybody, you have no leverage. If we had started an outlet, and I said this on the NABJ Yahoo groups, let's form our own media outlets so that we can hire one another if they get fired. A couple of well-known reporters said, we don't know anybody that could fund anything like that. Well, what has LeBron done?
Exactly.
Guess what? Look, Derek Jeter, what has he done? So it's doable. It's doable. Now, will you have $100,000 every year? No, but guess what? You'll have security. Because the reason that they were hired in the first place was because they had to compete with the black outlets for talent. But they don't have to do that anymore. Because I guarantee you, if we're breaking the stories, they're going to want us. But guess what? You don't have to go to them. If you have a home, stay at home. Make what you have the best brand available. Because we know ESPN is hemorrhaging. We know they're hemorrhaging money. And they've been hemorrhaging money for years.
Yep.
And they will keep abusing their talent as long as they can. And that's why you don't see some of the same faces anymore. They got to let go. Yep. Shows got canceled.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Yep.
But, so we need to strategize. We need to get together. Your buddy over there, Thomas, and some of these other outlets, Controversy, all these cats. We need to get together for real.
Yep.
If we have to Zoom it, fine. But we need to really start earmarking what it is that we need to do so that when we turn on the Super Bowl, there's more than just the black team photographer, if it's San Francisco or LA Rams, that's on the field, that's in the press box. I looked around, it was me, D-Led, and LaCherie. That was it.
Wow.
That was it down in Houston.
Wow. Jay, I appreciate this, man. You dropping this knowledge. I knew you would. But this is the time you get to promote and tell people where they can find you, your 360. And please promote those books again, man. I love those books. Get it out there, man.
Look here. Look. You don't have to tell me twice. Look, Halftime. You can find it on my website. My website is JM Photos ATL, JMPHOTOSATL.com. I'm on social media at JMPS_ATL, CORE360 Sports, and JMack_ATL. That's Instagram, CORE360M on Twitter, CORE360 Sports Magazine on Twitter, on Facebook, JMack, or any of those outlets. Just Google CORE360 Sports Magazine. It's probably in the top 5, I think. But Yeah, so you can find my magazine. You can find links to my coffee table books. Halftime. Look, if you love bands and the pageantry, you want this one. If you want some of the greatest action photos you've ever seen at HBCU sports, you want this one. Now, this is the hardcover. It also comes in a soft cover. Um, I, look, see all those pictures? This is 14 years of classic football documented.
Wow.
14 years from 2002 to 2000, whatever. Okay. So 2014, right? Yeah. So, you know, and if you're in Atlanta, if you live in Atlanta, or you just want to know, act like you do live in Atlanta, this is so Atlanta. This is my coffee table book that depicts the impact of African Americans on the popularity of Atlanta. We don't get that. We don't get that.
Right.
Atlanta didn't just become Atlanta because of anything other than the hard work of the black politicians, black businesses, and black entertainers. That's why Atlanta is so hot. I mean, yeah, some people came for Freaknik and never left, but when you talk about from the civil rights, Maynard Jackson, the mayors, the T.I., look, I got photos that you haven't seen, that no one has seen. The Trumpet Awards, people who are so Atlanta because they believed in this city. They either natural born or they moved to the city and made it their home, like I did some 20 years ago. So those all three books are available on my website.
That's what's up. J Mack, everybody, good friend. Thank you, brother. Check us tomorrow, man. I got Tracy Hutchins tomorrow, so that should be interesting. What's all what's going on? So
Hey, Tracy.
We're out of here, man. Thank y'all.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man.
No problem, bro.
Yes, sir. Anytime. Peace. Later.